I'm Mel Stewart, and this is the SwimSwam podcast. Joining me today, it's a very, very, very special guest. Three-time Olympian, Olympic team captain, Olympic champion, Tom Malchow.
It's a pleasure to be here, Mel. Thanks for having me.
You don't have to sound so excited to be talking to me. I'm just going to say this in the front end. We've been trying to book you forever. You've been slippery. You've been slipping away. And by the way, we are going to use video, so you have to look at your camera.
I have to look at my camera. Yes.
You thought it's just going to be audio.
I would say most of the time I do these meetings for work, and I can tune out on the video part.
So, you didn't wear any makeup.
I did not.
Where's your television makeup?
Yeah, jeez. I should get one of my kids in here and turn me into a clown.
Let me say this. I don't know too much about what's going on in your personal life. What's your career now? I know a little bit, but you tell me what your career is.
So I've done pretty much the same thing since I left swimming about 15 years ago. So I sell medical device, focus on total hip, total knee, total shoulder, which hopefully a lot of swimmers will not need, but it's good stuff if you do.
It's the gentleman who supported me all throughout my life he was with Bristol Myers, then became Bristol Myers Squibb, and that was the business that he was in. So you're making a lot of bank. You're a big player.
I'm doing well. It's been good. It's been good to me, but it's taken 15 years, but it's been good.
We're going to get into the nitty gritty and all the good stuff about Tom Malchow, because I love Tom Malchow. But I wanted to say this. I was talking to Steve Gregg. Do you know Steve Gregg, 76er 200 butterflyer?
I know the name. I don't know him, but I know the name.
Steve, he's a really cool cat, great guy. But he was like, we were talking about something, and it's that people retire, and then they, some people never leave swimming. They go on and coach. They do. But, some people like you, Olympic stars who have their own little piece of history, they retire and – they're not around swimming all too much. They start another career, and they have a whole other life. And it seems to me that like you've done that. You were able to make an easy transition into a professional life.
I think that's good. I think, especially I have not had a chance to watch it, but, I think coming off of the documentary that Phelps just did, I think it shows that, it is hard to transition, and probably more people have a problem with it than don't. And, I think I would say I was fortunate that I had a good plan. I had some good people that kind of mentored me during that transition. I fell into a career that, very different than swimming, but filled, that competitive nature, filled that void in a lot of different ways. And, I had to start at the bottom, but kind of work my way up. But I built it into be a great career, and, I still love it today as much as I did 15 years ago.
We're going to get into a lot of different stuff. But bringing up Michael Phelps, we have to say this. When you won gold in 2000, he was in the same heat, and it was an exciting race to see you realize your dream and what was coming to you for 4 years. And you were team captain in 2004. So you saw him when he was a little kid. You experienced him, and that 2004 Olympics was, he won 8 medals, and that was pretty spectacular. So I want to talk to you about that, but I want to go back to the beginning. And I knew that you had health issues, and I knew you were asthmatic. And in my research, because I had to go deep into the Googles, your Wikipedia bio, terrible Wikipedia bio. Your SwimSwam bio, 10 times better. I even went to the International Swimming Hall of Fame bio, and then I went deeper and deeper and deeper. But I didn't know that you had been hospitalized quite a lot, almost 8 or 9 times. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. So, I think if you talk to John or you talk to my parents came into Michigan for Parents Week in my freshman year, and they drove in from Minnesota to Michigan, and they pulled into town, and they had a voicemail from John, or maybe it was a message at the hospital, or I can't remember if they had cell phones, they were using at that point. But and the voice message from John was, "Don't worry, he's okay, but he's in the hospital." So
not the message your parents want to get.
Oh yeah, this is exactly what they want to hear. So, but yeah, I was hospitalized with pneumonia my freshman year in college, didn't have the opportunity to swim, in my first home meet that my parents came in to watch for. So it was kind of a disappointment. But, health was one of those things that I battled kind of on and off to my, swimming career, but eventually kind of got it figured out and, ups and downs. But, it's, I think every time you push your body too far, you kind of learn something and kind of you learn from some of those, kind of, I wouldn't say super serious, but, situations that were challenging and were sometimes setbacks.
You're 9 years younger than I am. I actually talked to your mom on the phone when you were like coming up, when you were so young. And I remember you being little at the swim meets. I think I'm exaggerating, but I feel like you barely came in at a buck. How tall are you?
6'6".
6'6". What did you weigh when you were competing in high school? Just say like maybe sophomore, junior year.
Probably 175 to 180 max.
So wow. And by your freshman year, when you were Puppy Chow at the University of Michigan, you got to drop your nickname, buddy. That's Urbanchik gave it to you. Does Urbanchik call you Puppy Chow now?
I don't think he still does. There's a handful of people that still do. I ran into Eric Wunderlich in the airport in Atlanta maybe 3 years ago, and all I hear was Puppy Chow down the concourse at Atlanta's airport. So it's there's a handful of people that still call me it. It still sticks around a little bit, but those are some good times and some good memories.
I never called you Puppy Chow. I would never, ever, ever do that to you. I have full respect for you. So here's the reason why I turned the heat up to get you on the podcast. I don't know if you know this. I might have told you in an email, but it was a story about you, and then I commented that I was bitter about the loss in '96, and then I had been doing therapy, and I was trying to emotionally get over it, but I had no closure. And did I tell you that in the email?
I didn't, but is this some couch time?
This is couch time.
This is couch time.
Here are my complaints. 6'6", you got a wingspan of like 9 feet. Apples to apples, I think that I should have had a 2-second head start just for that race to be fair at the 1996 Olympic trials.
That was a good day for me. So that was a good day for me.
Very diplomatic. Very diplomatic.
There was a lot to digest on that day, let me tell you.
Who got second? I don't even remember who got second.
Ray Carey.
Ray Carey got second.
Ray Carey got second.
I was third. I got pushed off the Olympic team, but you know what? I was extremely happy to see you win, and more excited that you medaled at your first Olympics.
Yes.
Medaling at your first Olympics, youngest guy on the team. That is, a lot of people go to their first Olympics. It's a pancake Olympics. And, I was on the couch. No, I wasn't on the couch. I was working for ESPN at the time. But I watched your event with excitement. How did you pull that off? How did you handle the stress of your first Olympics and medal?
I think a lot of it was, obviously who I was swimming for, John Urbanchik, has the ability to kind of keep things in perspective, but keep it fun. But if you look at the group of guys that I was training with at the time, just kind of watching them and feeding off of them, you had Dolan and Namesnick, Wunderlich, Carlton Brunner, Gustavo Borges, Marcel Woda. If you can't, pick those guys' brains and learn from them and watch a little bit how they handle those situations, you're probably never going to succeed at that level. But, I really attribute to John. I attribute to those guys. And obviously, the veterans on the Olympic team at that time helped. But I think that core group of guys that I was training with and John definitely kind of set me up to be able to handle that moment.
How many guys, how many Michigan swimmers made Olympic teams in '96?
Gosh, between Michigan, lots between Michigan swimmers and people training there. I think a couple people swimming for Daria was swimming for Turkey. It was a big collection of people coming out of Ann Arbor that year.
So you felt like you were supported. You had some familiar faces with you.
Absolutely, Namesnick had been there in '92. I'm sure you obviously remember that you guys were on the team together in '92, and that was a good year for you. So it was tough not to learn from those guys, and they were great with me. They took me under my wing and helped me through training camp and helped me prepare for the games and how to manage everything that was going on.
Where were you at trials at the 150? Because you're a back half guy.
Definitely. So probably the same spot I was at the Olympics. I was
sixth.
I think I was seventh at the first wall in the Olympics, and it was probably maybe sixth in trials too. So it was probably, I think it was 6'4", 3. Wow, first in trials, second in the or second Olympics. So it was.
Yeah. According to myth and legend, you turned sixth at the 150, and I couldn't remember. I was trying to go back and see the race, but you turned sixth at the 150 in Atlanta.
Yeah, it was. I was back there a ways. So I think there was a lot of people. What was that?
Totally comfortable at sixth at the 150.
It's, yeah, if I remember right, but kind of a lot of those races, you don't remember all the details of it. It's just your body kind of taking over, and trying to make sure your mind doesn't get in the way. I think it was part of the training too. John had us well trained, for that, and well trained to swim like that. So
we're going to have 84 was a special moment. Atlanta, special moment was in the United States. Well, I expect the 2028 Olympics when it gets back to Los Angeles to be pretty cool. What was Atlanta like? What's it like, competing on U.S. soil and winning?
I would agree. It's, people ask me which is my favorite Olympics, and they're all kind of tough to sort out because they all had super special things. I think if you look at Sydney, obviously I won in Sydney, super special, gold medal, Olympic record, awesome. You go to Atlanta, you go to Athens, back to where the modern Olympic Games started. Obviously, a ton of Olympic history there. Very special, to be back there. But I think at the end of the day, swimming in Atlanta, even though it was silver, as opposed to gold, I think it was probably my favorite Olympics, just to swim at home, with that hometown crowd. With I probably had 25, 30 family and friend that made the journey, down there, high school buddies, who made the journey down there. It was my first. It was at home. It was super, super special. So it was tough to trade that for anything. Going to opening ceremonies. It's the only opening ceremonies I went to. To walk in, with the whole USA delegation, to walk in last into the stadium there in Atlanta was still probably one of the most special experiences of my life.
As a rule, typically swimmers don't walk in the opening ceremonies.
Yeah, it was tough. I totally, we went back and forth, and I think if John had the final say, he would have said, "Don't do it." It was hot in Atlanta. In July, it was going to be a 8-10 hour day. Swimming is obviously starts right away the next day. I think 200 butterfly was third and fourth day, so it wasn't the next day, but it's early on. So, but you never know if you're gonna have the chance to go back to the Olympics. You're probably never going to have a chance to swim in your home country again. So I think that's kind of why I weighed those two things and made a decision to walk, and I don't regret it.
Yeah, and for people listening that aren't inside the bubble, walking in the opening ceremonies, it's 10 hours, but you're in full dress,
yep,
and it's not comfortable. No one's giving you a back massage or putting on a little chair for you. You're standing there, and it takes a lot out of you. But it's and then there's also the energy of what it is. You're walking out, and hundreds of millions of people are going to see you. There's a lot of fanfare. I never walked in an Olympics. Really surprised to hear that you did it in the first one.
Yeah,
a little bit jealous.
If it was in Sydney, it was my first one. I don't think I probably would have done it. But I think it was being at home that was just too much to pass up. So, but yeah, I remember being tired. I remember we were in one of the stadiums, and there was a transition over to the next stadium where the ceremonies was, and it came down the ramp, and everybody was running. I'm like, I'm going to break my ankle here and not even get to swim, But it was a fun night.
So 96 to 2000, not a straight line for you. I would, and going back and digging into your history, I would expected you to come off a silver medal and be really, really dominant. What was it like for you between 97 and 2000?
It was tough. It was probably a good way to, sum it up. I think I came back in silver medal, I should dominate college, swimming. And I didn't. Obviously, yards versus meters. I was definitely a better yard swimmer than a meter swimmer, but still silver medal, you should be able to figure this out and win. And I never won an individual NCAA championship in 4 years. So got a silver medal, between my freshman and sophomore year, but I still can't win an NCAA championship individually. So it's, it was frustrating. There was ups and downs, some more sickness in there. I think, I wouldn't say I got distracted, but, I started swimming, 200 free, 500 free, swam 200 free, world champs in 98, I think. So, I started doing some other things, and I wouldn't say I got away from my roots, but maybe got distracted a little bit trying to do maybe too many things. But, obviously at the end of that college career, it was focused on one thing, and that was 200 butterfly, and, the Sydney Olympics.
I was, by that time, I'm old, I'm out of it. And then everybody started wearing a different suit. And the idea of putting something up over your shoulders, like, this is so foreign to me. But you made that transition. When did you go to the suit that came up over your shoulders, full body suit?
Yeah, I think I made that transition obviously in the summer of 2000. And I would agree it was not something that I was dying to do. And I was working with Speedo, and they were helping pay the bills. At that point, just coming out of college. So, but I would say I was reluctant to wear the suit. I would say my body type was not comfortable in the suit. Butterfly, I would say, was not a stroke that was designed for the suit. And I think Speedo really wanted me to wear the suit. So we kind of went back and forth and round and round. And eventually they agreed to make, the suit that I was going to wear somewhat custom. So I did not wear off the shelf suit. They were able to at least make a suit that was a little bit more comfortable for somebody that's 6'6", super skinny. And I'm just the opposite of Phelps. My height is all my legs, not my torso. So it needed something special. And eventually they got a suit, and they agreed to make it going forward. And, I think this, I kind of fell in love with the suit after we got it right.
It's, I tried one on when I was 40. You're 43 now, right?
Yeah, almost 44.
Wow, you're getting old.
Getting up there.
You look good though.
Yeah, got a little bit of gray hair. I'm going to stay back from the camera, but a little bit hiding under it.
What are you doing to stay fit? Are you swimming? Are you doing yoga? What are you doing?
No, I'm, obviously I was going to the gym quite a bit. So my kids have started to swim a little bit. I don't think it's going to be their calling, but they got a little bit more serious this year, and we're swimming at the Bellevue Club, and it kind of worked out. So I would get there 4 or 5 times a week, and my wife would drop them off, and I would pick them up, and started hitting the gym quite a bit. So I was getting in some weightlifting, cardio, and then obviously COVID kind of shut that down. And I got back on my bike. So I've been probably out on the road probably 4 to 6 times a week, depending on schedule. I'm not going crazy, but getting in 100, 150 miles a week. So it's, I was one of the few people that lost about 5 to 7 pounds during COVID. So
what I expect you to drill down and get more fit while everybody laid on the couch. That's typical Tom Malchow.
But swimming's not been one of those things that I've really gone back to. I think I've checked that box. It's been kind of fun to see my kids kind of start to dabble a little bit, but we're throwing a lot of stuff at them and kind of letting them figure it out.
A lot of people don't swim because they feel like if they're in the water, they've got to work. And one of our peers, Rowdy Gaines, said, he always told me, he goes, Mel, do your workout in the gym, do your workout with whatever you do, but get in and warm up. It'll change your brain chemistry. Do you feel like a pressure? Like if you're in the pool, do you feel like, I got to work? This isn't going to work. I got to go harder, and this is too much.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that, but and the first time I get in the pool, I feel great. I get in with that mindset where I'm going to go 1,500. And God, this feels awesome. The second and third time you get in, it feels horrible. And I'm like, I'm done with this at this point. I'm going to go do something else. I started swimming masters a little bit, probably 11, 12 years ago. And some days I would get there and talk to everybody on the deck and socialize and go sit in the hot tub and go home. It was just not what I was ready to do yet. And it wasn't fun to be in the water. It was fun to socialize and it was fun to hang out, but it was just.
You swam masters? You swam masters?
I did for a little while.
You swam, it's, first of all, you swam masters, but the experience that you had, it feels, this is my theory, hearing you say that you would show up and talk to everybody and get in the hot tub. You wanted to live the life of a sprinter. You wanted to live the life of a sprinter. You want to show up, socialize, get in the hot tub, and go, that's my day.
Yeah, I don't really even know if I knew what the life of a sprinter was till, I started making international trips, because at Michigan, even the sprinters went, 5,000 or 6,000 a day. Gustavo Borges will tell you he was a sprinter at Michigan, and he still went pretty big yardage. So I didn't know what a life of a sprinter was till we got to, some of those international trips and saw those guys come in and stretch for 20 minutes and swim for 10 and stretch for 20 and call it a day.
It's like seeing an alien from another world. It just does. It never made sense for me.
no, I agree. So
And I should say this, in like when you were young and you were developing, you were coming on really fast on your trajectory to where you kicked my butt in '96. Um, Probably your biggest issue developing was that you worked too hard. You probably, because you went through like a 2-year period where you didn't, like you had a year where you didn't do personal best times, and I was talking to your mom, and I'm like, I figured out, I'm like, he's working too hard.
I think I probably started to work too hard in college for sure.
Yeah.
John used to call me a masochist. I think that was part of the reason why I was sick all the time. I'd push my body too far. So I kind of at least was smart enough to kind of listen a little bit more. But I think growing up, I didn't work all that hard. I think that was part of the reason why I was able to swim through 3 Olympic cycles and knock on wood, never had any injury problems till right at the end. But I came from, super kind of, I wouldn't say modest, but coaches that were very conservative and weren't going to, push me super hard, through those, the first part of my swimming career.
It's well, I have to say this: the Tuna Butterfly Club is a great club, and we're going to pick this narrative back up, and we're going to go 2000 to 2004. But this has to be said at some point, so I don't forget it. Tuna butterflies are better than everybody else. They're the greatest. 50 freestyle, 100 freestyle. If you're swimming those other events, I'm sorry, you might not like me, but I just want to say Tuna Butterfly, nobody even cares about it. They just want to see Tuna fly. And I just want to know if you agree with me, Tom. I want you to go on the record.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. That is a very well made point.
Of course it is. I'm so glad we covered that. That's actually really the reason why I wanted to get on. I just wanted to have some sort of a coherent group of folks all agreeing Tuna fly is the greatest.
After the most important thing in that 30 minutes right there.
After you win an Olympic gold medal, it's things change. Your brain chemistry changes. Life is different. And I would say that moving toward the next Olympics is it's tough. And that was my experience, obviously, because 4 years later, I got third at trials. You were successful in many ways, and from 2000 to 2004, and you were living and breathing you were watching the greatest athlete of all time, Michael Phelps. You were in parallel with him, racing him. What was that like?
Yeah, it was all kind of, obviously a whirlwind. You go from a silver to a gold, which is exactly what I wanted to do. It was, 4 years of trying to, figure out how I was going to do that. And there was, like you mentioned before, there was, definitely some points along the way that were not going in the right direction, but I got to figure it out. Made the team, got the gold medal, but yeah, now it becomes the ability, to try to do that again. And things changed, pretty quickly. Within 6 months of the Olympics, Phelps had beaten me. And not only did he beat me at nationals, he took my world record away from me right next to me. So it was, I was put on notice that this next 4 years was going to be different. So, and he made that very clear. I still remember that was down in Texas in 2001 at nationals. And it was, it was definitely a wake-up call. Everybody knew he was going to be good. You could see in his eyes that he was going to be good. I don't think anybody knew he was going to be that good that quickly after the Olympics. So
yeah. So if I had gone back in time and said, "Hey Tom, just so you know, this guy's going to pick up 28 medals," and so kick his butt now. Do it now.
I probably would have come up with something polite and said, "Yeah, he's good. And he's definitely coming along, and I expect big things from him over the next 4 years." I probably wouldn't have said, "Yeah, he's going to win 28 gold medals, and he's not going to take my world record in 6 months." But yeah, sure enough, he did.
He was still he was a child. You looked at his face, and he had the face of just a baby. And I was around, and that had to be unique. That had to be an interesting situation, but. You made him work for it. You came back and beat him the next year, didn't you?
I don't know if it was the next year or the following year, but yeah, I remember I only beat him once or twice over the next 4 years. I should remember it because there were very few opportunities. So, but I did beat him at Pan Pacs. I think he was first. I was first. I think he was second or third there. But I think, if there's going to be an asterisk next to that, it was going to be after his 27th event, and it was, my one event. So, but, Bob did not let Michael ever just sit around. Bob always made Michael swim tons and tons of events, and it worked. So
it did work. So, yeah, that's a long Olympic career. It's 3 Olympics. You pick up your gold medal. You're captain in 2004. what was going on with your shoulder? What was going on with your rotator cuff, and when did you notice it?
See, it's weird. I've been asked, that question in different ways, and everybody said, do you remember the one single time that your shoulder started hurting? And I don't. Did you ever have pain? No. Did my performance at the Olympic trials indicate that there was something wrong? Yes. So, and I think that was kind of the first time when somebody said, hey, let's take a little bit deeper look at that. I remember Dr. Rodeo taking me on the side of the deck after I made the team, just kind of looked at me and took me through a few different tests. And he said, I got to go back to New York and I'm going to catch up with the team later, but I'm going to send you just to see my partner. I think he already knew what was going on, but he said, I'm going to send you to my partner here in San Francisco and do an MRI. And sure enough, my shoulder was, I don't want to use the word destroyed, but it had pretty significant damage. So, and I think Rodeo was surprised that I even made the Olympic team. He's like, I'm not sure how you made the Olympic team. But he said, you made the Olympic team, you're not in pain, I think you should go and compete. So, because it did cross my mind, should somebody else go? Is this injury that bad that I shouldn't even be competing or being part of this team? But, I kind of wrestled with that question, but I made the team, if I've earned the spot, I think I should go. If there was some pain or I'm going to do significant damage.
Having the experience of being team captain, that's something I never, I did not get that honor. Our team captain was always Tom Jager or Matt Biondi or both. But I think it's pretty special to have gone to 3 Olympics, 1 gold, and to be a team captain. How meaningful was that for you in 2004?
It was special. Obviously, I think people voted me captain after they also knew that my shoulder was hurt. I don't think it was a charity vote. I think it was, maybe you're not going to be able to contribute as much as you want to the pool, but you're going to be able to contribute out of the pool. You've been to 2 Olympics. You've got the silver, you got a gold. You know how this works, and I think it was obviously a great way to end my career. I didn't end my career the way I wanted to in the water, swimming the 200 butterfly, but to be part of that team, to be captain, be there with Phelps, to see all those different things that we were doing. It was a great way to end a career that wasn't going to end on a positive note in the pool for me.
I'll trade you, buddy, because the way I ended my career was with you beating me. I'll trade you straight up, because you could have ended it in Indianapolis, and you just go sit in the diving well and cry. But I think going to your 3rd Olympic Games and being captain suits you and is a crowning achievement, and it's pretty cool. Makes all the sense in the world to me.
So, absolutely, it's up there for sure.
Okay, now we're going to hit you with something, and you're not prepared for it, but I don't care. You're going to be under the spotlight, and you have to do this. You got to give me your best Rowdy Gaines. Here's the deal. We're going to nerd it up. In terms of, you have to have watched some fly on the international stage since you've retired. And what have you seen in terms of the evolution of butterfly? What changes did you see and you went, wow, I wish I'd known that ahead of time?
Well, I don't know if I wish I would have known that ahead of time. I think I wish that, I'm glad that I got out of it. And part of it is the underwater, that was definitely not, my strongest suit, but to watch these guys going 15 meter underwater, coming off that third wall, it's impressive. So I was gone for so long and then I came back, and what really blew my head was hunter fly. That's something. Here's the thing. You don't understand hunter fly. You could sit here and fake it and tell me you do, but you don't. What was your best hunter butterfly? God, 49 maybe.
No. 100-meter butterfly?
100-meter butterfly.
Your best hunter, your personal best 100-meter butterfly.
I don't even remember.
You don't even know.
No.
My guess. What did you go out in the 200 fly? What were you out in at the 100 meters?
I don't know.
55, 56.
That was gonna be my guess, but I don't know.
Yeah,
that would be my guess.
My guess is that's what you are on the way out. If I was a betting man, I'm like, I don't have these metrics in front of me. I got to guess you might be a second faster if you swam 100 fly alone.
Maybe not far off.
Maybe. That's that. But it's a hard gear. But in the 100, so all of that's a build up to say this. I remember talking to Marsh and being like, "What are they doing in 100 fly?" He goes, it's flatter and they're just turning over more. Basically, they're a lot stronger than you are, and you'll just never know what that's like, Mel.
Yeah, I was the weight room, and I was in the weight room a ton. I never saw a ton of gain from it as far as putting weight on, but I think I got stronger, but my body never changed.
Did I call you after Christoph did the 150 200-meter butterfly? Did I send you a message? I might have just sent Davis Tolrado. I can't remember. I think the exact message was,
Well, you
I just found out that your colorful metaphor slow. And the response was, hey, I just figured out that your colorful metaphor slow. And I thought that I'd sent you that message because I saw that swing. He went 150, 200-meter butterfly. And I was like, whoa, this is different. This is breathing rare air.
Yeah, it's 5 seconds faster than I went. It's hard to comprehend that over, what is that, 16 years, 17 years? When do you do that?
Well, it's let's see here. You went 150, 200 fly. How many years later is that? 16 years later. Yeah.
16 years later, yeah. So.
I mean, 15 years later. But it's a this is my theory. My theory is that if your Speedo, your fangled Speedo suit had compression, you probably would have gone 149. That's my theory.
I'm not going to argue. I'm just going to go with it.
You're going to roll with it. I'm going
to set that as fact.
So this is how you roll it out. Imagine going. You swim free. You know what free's about. Yeah. I did it too. I was on the national team in the 4x2. Imagine going 200-meter freestyle and doing open turns. How fast would you go with open turns? Could you go 150 with open turns? No. Insane. No, not even close. Not even close. Is there anything that you've been seeing in swimming there that excites you? Anybody that you've watched, you're like, you know what? I know what it's like to be an Olympic peer and be retired, but do you stop in like, I got to see this. I want to see what this is about.
I think, if I'm still watching, still tuning in, I'm still obviously, watching, some of the older guys. It's still fun to watch Nathan, for sure. Obviously, he's a sprinter, which is obviously not my cup of tea, but, I'm living up in the Northwest now and seeing somebody who's been able to stay around that long. It's fun to watch, somebody like, Nathan for sure. So it was fun to see Anthony Irvin come back. So, it's some of those kind of obviously anytime Phelps was swimming, it was fun to tune in for that too. But I still watch the 200 butterfly for sure. You can't help not be interested in what they're doing and watching that progression. So
I watched trials in 16, you watch the times, and you're going, where would I have placed in 2016? I think 2016 you still would have made the Olympic team. It was a 155.91 was second.
I would have made it then.
You would have made it.
I would have made it
too, buddy.
I would have made it.
So I think that, but I do think that's a testament to how hard you worked and what you did and how great of a swimmer you were. As I'm talking to you right now, there's a thunderstorm rolling through Austin, Texas, and it's just like became black as night. But is there anything about your career that stands out? Any moment that's sort of like the thumbnail image in your head, and it's like, this is what I appreciate about swimming, and this is something that you're like, this is what I love.
Wow, that's a tough question. It's tough to put one moment.
It's a big question.
It is. It's tough to put one moment. Some people would go to the Olympic gold medal. That's the easy one. Or the world record. Some people would go, I think where I first, I guess, kind of, you started to make some inroads on get some attention was my first my first national team. And you were probably swimming. I don't know if you were there. That was 92 in Mission Viejo, right after the Olympics. So I remember Ur was there. Handful of people were there. First nationals, and I think I was leading at the 150, just pure excitement. That was, that's when I was not a back half swimmer. When I hadn't figured it out, I was a front half swimmer, and that didn't always work well for the 200 fly. But I remember, John coming up to me, it was 3 years before I was going to be in college, and came up to me, and he was like, he was impressed. That was a solid 150. I just need to learn how to swim that, second of that last 50. So that was kind of one of those kind of aha moments that, I was, coming onto the scene and, maybe had what it take to compete at that level. I think if you look at Athens, obviously not how I wanted to perform in the career, but the ability to be there with my shoulders in bad shape as it was, I would say that was probably one of the most impressive swims in my career. So, I was.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe you didn't talk about that before. So, yeah, you swam injured.
I did.
And that, yes, that's heroic, very courageous moment.
Yeah, that was, I think I was seventh or eighth at that, at Athens. And, it's not how you want to go out. But I think as far as, some of the toughest races in my career, mentally and physically, that was it for sure.
You made it to the big show. You make it to an Olympic final. It's a big deal.
Yeah. So
it's a big deal. I'll give you, we're down to just under 4 minutes, but let me just say, so do you have a moment in your childhood that's, when I was 13, I won the North Carolina State Open in the 800 meter freestyle. I beat all the 18-year-olds and over. And that was like a big moment. I went, wow, I could do this. I could be great at this. When was that moment for you when you were younger and you were like, wow, I could really be great at this?
See, I don't think I had that one moment in my career. I think, my career was just kind of a natural progression of getting better and better, discovering things about, different races. And, all of a sudden you're swimming 4 or 5 events and you're winning most of those events. And, you're going to the zone meets and then you're doing well at state and then junior nationals. I remember my first junior nationals down in Texas, I think we were in City of Richardson down there. My parents didn't even go with me, sent me down with the team, and all of a sudden I win junior nationals just kind of out of the blue. It was just, kind of this great progression along the way where, I kept getting a little taste of, the next level, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm really enjoying this. And it just kind of built on along there. I think my entire career was that way, just kind of a gradual building and enjoying it and learning from, each time I won, but also each time I lost.
Which is the reason why we love swimming. Because everybody goes through the same chute, and it is a gradual progression. In terms of our sport and all the 200 butterflyers, who's the coolest? Who's the coolest 200 butterflyer that you know?
Oh, without a doubt, Mel Stewart.
I'm loading it up because we got 2 minutes left, and I'm just trying to suck all the wind out of this. But I have to say, I'm so excited to see you, and you look so good. You don't look any different.
Well, it's not just because we're doing this interview though, but really you are probably the first 200 butterflyer that I remember watching in Barcelona. That was, that was my point in my career when, I was starting to become a little bit more in the international scene and, junior national team. And, you were the 200 butterflyer at that point.
At that point, that was
not just in the US, but around the world, so
it's a long time ago. But the cool thing about you, and as we're closing it out, I'm going to close it out and I'll say this. I think that in terms of somebody having a piece of history, particularly in this sacred event, the 200 butterfly, I think that you have this special asterisk because you swam through 96 and into 2004 when I think the media-wise swimming really came to prominence. And I think that's a special moment. And you better come back on the podcast when we ask you.
Absolutely. It was fun. It was fun to catch up. So, and, hopefully our paths will cross in person, maybe at trials. I was planning on going to trials this year, but hopefully next summer I'll be there to watch and to catch up.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.